So I did try this with the most recent version of Ham Radio Deluxe. That's version 6.3.0.613. It didn't work. It came up with an error saying something wasn't supported. I can't remember what. So I went back to version 5.24.38. Now that was the last free version of Ham Radio Deluxe before they went to the paid model. You can still find it out there. And just like last time, we're going to go into the directory where our setup file is, give wine and that exec. In this case, it's setup HRD 52438.exe, and it begins the install process. This needed a Visual C, so we just install that. It takes care of everything, and it carries on just like a regular install on Windows. So I left the box checked to start Ham Radio Deluxe. And it's going to come up with the normal radio selection page. I don't have any of my drivers installed yet. So I'm just going to close out of that and we'll go right into the Ham Radio Deluxe interface. Okay, so we can see Ham Radio Deluxe booted up okay. We're in the the plain interface here. I'm going to exit out of here and go back install my drivers for my IC7600. And then we'll return and go through some of the menus and options here. So looking in my /dev folder, I can see that the driver has not been installed for the 7600. This uses the Silicon Labs driver, and this is the Mac driver, not the Windows one. So you'll have to find out what the appropriate driver is based on your radio. Once I double click on that, you install it just like any other Mac software. It'll install the driver, and afterwards we'll be able to set up our COM ports. And once that's done, I can do a listing, find the proper device name, and then set up a symbolic link and give it a Windows COM port name. If you haven't seen my video on that, I go over that as well on how to set up COM ports to be used under Wine for Windows. So here I'm going to call this COM3. That way whenever I connect my 7600, it will always be COM3. Now we're going to drill down. We're going to go into our Wine directory, find that virtual C program files directory, then into the Ham Radio Deluxe directory, and find the executive file to start the Ham Radio Deluxe software. Now that I have my drivers installed, once that splash screen shows up, I can select my IC7600. I'll be able to select COM3, and when I hit connect, it should connect to the radio and give me feedback as to my VFO settings, filter settings, and everything else that Ham Radio Deluxe is capable of controlling. As we can see, as I spin my VFO dial on the radio, the feedback is reflected in Ham Radio Deluxe. And I can also use Ham Radio Deluxe to select different bands, filter settings, and frequencies, and that's reflected back on the radio itself. We can also use DM780 for digital modes. And you'll have to set your audio settings to reflect your computer and setup. In my case, I'm using the USB audio out from the ICOM IC7600, so I will select the USB audio codec. And once I do that, you can see the signal jump up in the waterfall behind the screen. So I'll drop back into the main HRD screen, and we'll see if we can find some PSK signals on 20 meters. And 20 is looking pretty quiet here, so let's go check out 40. And we can see there's nothing on this one, so let's try the other 40 meter frequency. And there's a little bit of CW. Now I tried to tune this in and decode it. As you can see, I've got PSK 31 up, but this is a CW signal. So it's obviously not going to decode. So there you have it, version 5.24.38 of Ham Radio Deluxe running on macOS. Again, this is not the most recent version. This is the last free version. So there may be some newer features that are not enabled in this. But this is a good start and is still fairly full featured. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing some more application installs. I've got a number of requests and we'll be trying to get to them shortly. 73, this is VA3 ZTF.